Hey everybody, we're live.
What's up?
Nick Ponte here, and I'm with Dan Anton, the man. How's it going, Dan?
Hey Nick, hey everyone. Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome, and as you all know, we're here to talk about SEO today. I personally, in my agency, we do a lot of SEO. We've got probably, I would say, 10 or so clients on a monthly SEO retainer. We are, kind of dominating the Maui, Hawaii area for search engine optimization, which has been a big piece for my agency and for my clients, right? Helping them get higher in search engines has really been profitable for them too. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Dan is a expert when it comes to SEO. Maybe you can give us a little bit of background, like, where's the agency now? What are you up to?
Yeah, so I got my start online back in like 2011, really, and mostly then it was affiliate sites and building software. And then throughout that process, started an agency. I think we're up to like 76 clients, something like that right now. So we have a lot of clients. Started out in a broad, general type of agency, just ranking in local cities, which was great. But more recently, we started focusing on niche specific agencies. So we have the process pretty much down to a science now, where we can start, systemize and scale a particular vertical, which we find to be a much easier process in terms of systemizing and then just being able to do things like cold call and outreach based in one vertical, because you start to learn the jargon of the industry, and there's like little nuances where the business owner will pick up on it if you don't really know their industry too well. So I like that model a lot right now. So that's kind of where we've been focused.
Nice. Wow. 70 clients. That's pretty crazy. I got some questions about that I'm going to get into. I'm going to give some shout outs to everybody real quick. I see Manny, Cheryl's here. Hey, Cheryl, William, Sue, Stacy, Quinn, Richard. Richard actually is one of the new Fusion members. So shout out to Richard. I'm sure you've already seen some of Dan's training in there. Larry as well. Check that out. Larry is a new member. Anxious to see what Dan has to say. So am I, now that I know that he has 70 clients. That's insane.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's see. Where is everybody calling in from? Our buddy David California is on the call. He's in I think, David, are you in New York? I had lunch with David in New York. I don't think he lives in New York, but he's close by. Let's see. And actually, Dan, where are you? You're in Jersey?
No, I was born and raised in New Jersey, but I live in Puerto Rico now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, moved here for the sun.
That's cool. Do you know Mario?
I know of him. I don't know him very well, but there are a few other people here, like John Lee. He's got the podcast, Entrepreneur on Fire. I know he's out here.
Yeah.
A few other guys I've talked to over the years that actually I should be getting like an affiliate commission on through the lawyers and stuff, because I know I'm 100% responsible for them getting over here.
That's funny. Yeah. Oh, well, I guess I should probably talk to you a little bit about that then, because it is somewhat of a haven for internet marketers to go over there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dorn. So Dorn says that he enjoyed Dan's walkthroughs and the Fusion training. Dorn is actually a member of our kind of monthly membership as well. We had a call with him yesterday, sort of a hot seat. He's doing about 100K per year.
Awesome.
Yep. So he's crushing it. He's a member of Fusion now as well. So keep your eye out for that. Keep your eye out for that guy.
All right. Look for you in the Fusion group.
Let's see. Mike, that's a pretty funny comment. Let's see. Mark's in Tucson. Linnell, Arlington. Sue is in Myrtle Beach. I didn't know you're in Myrtle Beach, Sue. Let's see. Awesome. Well, yeah, looks like we got a good turnout. We got over 100 people here now.
Awesome.
And yeah, let's kind of dive into it a little bit. So you got 70 SEO clients. You are a former Ranger?
Former Army Ranger. Yeah, I was in the military, in the Army for about 10 years. I got out in 2011, and in the process of getting out, there's a little bit of play there in terms of when you're getting out and your actual ETS date, your end of term date. So in that process, I kind of just got online and tried to figure something out for myself.
Yeah.
Luckily it all worked out.
That's awesome. So my dad was a airborne ranger,
Awesome.
101st.
Okay.
And,
I was at 101st too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 1st Brigade.
Awesome. Small world.
Yeah.
So my older brother, he's in the Air Force. He's in cybersecurity in the Air Force. So yeah. We got the computer nerd gaming running through our veins, I guess.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, I can.
Your dad was okay with him going in the Air Force, not the Army?
My dad pushed for the Air Force.
Oh,
yeah. And he pushed me to want to join the Air Force too, but I kind of decided to go the other way. But
it's funny. Yeah. Every time we would go, like when we were deployed, we'd look at the Air Force and we'd always say, "Why didn't we join the Air Force?"
Is it just
have a much better setup?
Right. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. And they get, I mean, my brother's had a crazy education going through the Air Force. I mean, he's got a degree now in cyber warfare, I think the term is called. Okay. Yeah, anyway, I don't want to go too far off on that because I could talk about that for a while.
But another call.
Yeah. We got another ranger on the call. I can't see your name. I don't know who, you're not logged in, but shout out to you as well.
All right.
That's awesome. Nice. So let's talk a little bit about the SEO. You got 70 clients. How long ago did you start?
Really, we didn't start getting into the agency side of things until probably 2015 or so. So it's been about 5 years now. That first year was really just kind of trying to figure things out. And I still feel like we're still figuring things out to a degree because there's always a bit of refinement that goes into it. But in terms of, figuring out lead acquisition, nurturing, sales, and like we had the fulfillment down for a long time and we just kept streamlining that process of it. It was more about just bringing people into the funnel. And, you do things like, rank your own website for various cities and that brings in a decent amount of leads. But, to really scale, we try to do a bunch of other things too, like run ads and word of, once you really start to do well with clients, they start to refer out and you can reward your current clients if they bring on a referral for you. You offer them discount on their next monthly bill. Sometimes we'll even have clients help us close a new client, like a prospect. So if we have a client in a particular niche, and let's say we're not in our vertical agency, if we have a client in a particular niche, we have a new client and he's on the fence, we'll reach out to our current client and say, hey, look, got a guy, he's also a plumber. Can you help? And like he's asking, what kind of results we've done in the past. Can you reach out to this guy? We'll let him know that you'll be reaching out to him. And we've had that work pretty well in the past where people, we have a few of our go-to clients who will help us close and then we'll offer them, a discount or something.
Nice. That's a really good idea. So they're not like having a plumber close other plumbers, but more like just a verified testimonial from one of your happy customers to kind of help close other verticals as well.
Yeah, in a way. And sometimes they will get on the phone and be like, hey, look, I hired these guys a year ago. I wasn't listed in maps anywhere. I wasn't getting any leads. I hired these guys. I would not hesitate to hire them. Like that's kind of the conversation usually that we hope to get. And that's usually what happens.
That's very powerful. I mean, for us too, testimonials, reviews, those are always the easiest clients to close. So how long did it take you from when you first got interested to getting your first client?
Well, it worked out well for us because we had a good, I'm talking about my brother is my business partner as well. We started in software. So we had a huge list of people who at least were interested in SEO and that kind of thing. So we put out some feelers and sent out an email blast and wanted to see if anyone wanted to just have us do all their SEO for them. And, we got on the call with a few people and just got our first clients that way. So that worked out well. Aside from that list, we basically just went out and ranked a bunch of different city locations for various marketing terms. And that started bringing in leads that we were able to, follow up with, nurture, and then close. Nice.
I actually have a similar story on how I got started too. But first I want to talk about the list strategy that you had there, because one of the things that we're doing in Offline Sharks is we have a strategy, and a lot of you are familiar with Agency Growth Machine, right? Where we're building these influencer websites in our local areas. And especially right now with the shutdown, we're just super hyper focused on building a list. We're trying to build a list of as many customers as we possibly can, so we can do exactly what Dan just mentioned that he did, right? He built this list. He had this huge net out there of customers that he could speak to. And when he wanted to get started, he sent out an email to, I don't know, even if it was only 100 people, even if it was only 50 people, I'm sure it was more, but at least you have this way of continuing to prospect and bring in customers. And yeah, I mean, I love that. I love that you kind of, that it's timely for our people to hear that strategy being effective for SEO getting right now. So that's really awesome. And then for myself, that's kind of how I started too. I think I stumbled across an OMG training when I got the idea stuck in my head about ranking for city SEO, that keyword, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys started that.
That was preached pretty heavily to get people some quick wins, and you know what, it does work.
It does work. It's funny because like I had gotten hit with that bug where I was like, okay, I want to sell SEO, because for me, I was doing websites. I was doing these one-off services just to get started. And every time I needed to get more money, I had to go find a new client. So that was, pretty dead to me. It wasn't really a sustainable business model. So I was looking for ways to get that recurring income coming in. And that was really where I started. I was like, I'm going to rank for Maui SEO. And, it took a while, but I did. And that really helped with my credibility, especially when talking to business owners. Like I can say, if you have any question whether or not my SEO strategies work, I mean, you can go ahead and Google Maui SEO. I mean, people they can't compete with it. And
yeah, that's actually a great point, because sometimes those terms don't necessarily, they won't bring in like a ton of leads, but if nothing else, it's a calling card to say, hey, look, I know what I'm doing. There's a ton of other people out here trying to rank for this term too, the way I just did. If I can do it for myself, I can do it for you. And, you start getting, once you have a couple clients, then you can lean on them more than your own results, which is ideal.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you can kind of seesaw your way up that way, right? Like build your credibility in little pieces, little tiers. And you can do that to get your first couple of customers. And like you said, use those reviews to get your next customers.
Yep.
I think that's a great strategy. It's my experience as well. So, real world stuff there. What about, in terms of, we had a topic of a couple of things that you wanted to touch on when it comes to ranking in maps. Exactly what we're talking about right now. Ranking in maps for like Maui SEO or people that are looking to kind of get started in their local area. So maybe you want to drop some knowledge on that?
Yeah. So we go into a lot more training, obviously, in Fusion, but I want to go over some overarching principles of, the big three things that Google really must see in order to rank you in the maps. If they're just, if their algorithm is deciding, quote unquote, deciding to rank you there or not. And there's the organic listings, which are, your typical listings that you see in the search engine, and then you have your local map listings. And those algorithms are different, but they have overlap, right? So they're closely related and they feed off each other, but they are separate to a degree. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about, and I'm sure a lot of people on the call have some experience in understanding at least a little bit about what it takes to rank in Google Maps. So the first thing that's really important is brand, right? So your brand is so important because Google loves brands. They really do. They don't want to see someone trying to game the system, stuffing keywords and stuff like that. And your brand can be a partial match keyword. When I say that, it could be that if your keyword is plumber, maybe you're Joe's Plumber, right? Or, Joe's Plumbers, whatever it is. But that's essentially a partial match where you have the keyword plus, some other terms related to it. So, how do you let Google know that you are a brand and it's important? Well, there are these things called, and I don't want to insult anyone here, but you have citations, right? So citations would be essentially referrals back to your website. Think of it in terms of that. And it's just really a link on sites like Yelp, like even Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. These are social profiles, but they're still essentially like a citation in a way. Foursquare, right? There's so many different quote unquote citation services you can order. I'm not going to get into that on this one, but citations are comprised of three main things: your name, address, and phone number. So you got your NAP, right? So those things have to be lined up. And when you have a lot of citations pointing back to your brand, it starts becoming more solidified. What else can you do besides citations? Let me see if I can.
By the way, does anybody currently doing SEO? Are you currently ranking for anything? Maybe you can give us some comments in the chat. Like, what are some terms that you guys are already ranking for, or even just a yes or a no if you are doing SEO for yourself or for your customers, or a no if you're not, just so we can get a kind of pulse on everybody here. We got 170 people on this live right now, so let's get some engagement going, and I'll be giving out some prizes too.
I've got a lot of people on here. So, some other things you guys could do, right? So, I mean, traditional links on blogs, right? Real websites with real traffic are going to be ideal here. And again, you want branded type of links. You don't want to focus too much on keyword links. Google will figure out what your site is about based on the metadata on there, and just the way if you properly set it up based on the category that you're going after. So that's super important. And press releases can also be used. Web 2.0 accounts, things like Blogger, Tumblr. So let me just put down here for 2.0 sites. Press releases, kind of in moderation for press releases. They've lost some power over the years, but they still have their place.
I do a press release. What do you think about this, Dan?
Yeah.
I do a press release probably I don't know, maybe once every quarter or once every 6 months. Quarter seems kind of a lot, honestly, right now, but I'd say once every 6 months I'll do one. What do you think?
I think that's perfectly fine to do. And, you can structure press releases so they make sense. Mm-hmm. And, it could be someone in your company, right? Your sales guys hit a new milestone. You want to make an announcement about it. It could be that you've reached a certain milestone in your company. You've reached a critical number for the number of clients your goal was, right? It could be focused on your company itself, your agency's success. It could also be focused on a client's success. So those are things that you can celebrate. One of your clients is a lawyer, 15 years in the industry. He has a quote about your business, right? Brand mentions. So these are good. And yeah, definitely. I think that's a great strategy.
And for anybody that doesn't know what a press release is, I mean, everybody knows what a press release is, but in terms of press release for SEO value, maybe you could just give them a couple sentences on what you can expect from a press release in terms of SEO value.
A press release in terms of, what are you going to get out of it directly? You're not going to get a ton of, traffic from it. It's not, you're not going to get a press release out there and all of a sudden your website's going to crash from all the traffic you're getting. No. It's more about building authority and brand prominence in that, you've put out a press release, and it's not one of these crappy press releases that goes out to all these really low level syndication sites. You have to use a decent press release service. And I could name one now, but I'm not going to, but there are some good ones out there that are really good. Actually, I think you guys probably already talked to the owner of the service I'm talking about. Anyway, I think I saw it as I was going through your Facebook group this month. Yeah. So he's got a killer, actual, really good press release service. So that's one to look for. And
and the thing that everybody you should know about doing a press release, right? You do a press release for a service, and they send out a 500-word article to all these news platforms, and you can have a couple of links in that article, which would send those links back to your website or to your Facebook page or whatever, any of your pages that are linking. So people use that to add some relevance to their site. And that's the strategy behind it.
And, maybe you guys do something different. The strategy I always like to do when I put a press release out would be 2 links. One would be a branded link back to the homepage. And then the second link would be to a social profile. So it could be a Facebook page. It could be, a Yelp listing, one of those. So I like to do that. And all along, we're just building more brand relevance, which is the key here.
Do you do the link back to the homepage? Do you just use the naked URL, or do you use a keyword?
Mix it up. I wouldn't use a keyword though. It's usually the name of the business or the naked URL. Gotcha.
Yeah. And what about, you ever play with changing sending to a social profile like Facebook, or to the GMB, to the Google My Business page or Maps or any of that?
I've done it to social profiles. I haven't done it to a map listing. I try not to link directly too much to a Google listing. I will do a few, but with a press release, you're looking at possibly dozens or maybe even 100 or so links coming back, and I don't want that to get picked up in syndication with so many links coming to the map listing at once. It looks like you're trying too hard. If there was some way to embed a map, that would be what I would do instead. And I have seen some services where they'll accept an embed code. You could embed your map, and that would be relatively safe. I would have no issue with that.
You have to. That's an important piece. For anybody that's looking to get started with SEO, is like whenever you're doing some sort of optimization, especially link building and those types of things, it has to be something that could actually happen, right? It has to be realistic. Like anytime you try to like force, and this is if you're just trying to stay within the guidelines of what's, I don't know, considered not likely to get slapped or penalized by Google, but you have to put yourself in like an SEO mindset where, is it possible that a press release went out to this website and they linked to this website? Yeah, that's totally possible. That's doable. But is it possible that you somehow got 5,000 SEO nuke backlinks to a profile? That's not really possible in an organic world, right? Like, sure, you might shoot up in rankings for a week, a day, a month, maybe even longer, but you're probably going to get caught doing something like that. So whenever you're at like a website and you're thinking about buying a done for you service or any of that, think about if it's or something that could happen organically before you pull the trigger on that, because that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and there are caveats to this as well. So there are exceptions, because negative SEO is a very real thing, right? But you can get away with a lot if your brand has been solidified, if you have age, if you have authority. So in other words, I have websites for various softwares I run where I got thousands of, like buy Cialis type keywords running to it. I didn't build them. I promise you that.
Yeah.
And it has not hurt me one bit, because it's been, it's an obvious negative SEO attack, and the brand has been so rock solid that it's kind of hard to damage it.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind that the more authority you have, the longer you've been around, the more brand prominence you've established for yourself, you can get away with a lot more.
That's a really good point. I guess there's some extent of like expected negative SEO to somebody that's ranking at the top of Google, right? Like,
oh yeah, it's gonna happen.
If you're the king of the hill, there's always going to be people that want to push you down, and Google has to figure out a way to like figure out what is bullshit and what is not. So
honestly, that's when you've arrived. When you start seeing negative reviews from competitors, you're like, okay, I'm a threat. This is cool.
That's a good point.
And the other thing I want to go over related to brands would be reviews, guys. So reviews are not the be-all, end-all in terms of the algorithm. I talked a little bit about this on the webinar. But there are certainly, it's certainly part of the algorithm. So, the number of reviews you have, the quality of the reviews. So in other words, people who have legitimate Google accounts, that way, because they're checking to make sure that the people leaving reviews aren't just, shadow accounts that only exist for the purpose of leaving a review on your site. Thus the proximity of that review, if the person actually lives locally to your business, is a huge indicator. The type of keywords that person might type in the review. Sorry, let me just turn my Bluetooth on my phone on. Coming through here, my headset. All right. So yeah, the keywords that someone might type. You don't want to tell someone, make sure you use these keywords and leave a review. But if you're asking for reviews, and there are ways that we actually teach this, where we ask for reviews from our clients, or for our clients, we'll ask on behalf of them for their customers. Frame it in a certain way, and they'll naturally give you a review based on those parameters. And along with that, not just Google, guys. So you want reviews on multiple platforms. You should, if you're a brand, a real brand, you have reviews typically on more than just Google. You may have reviews on Facebook or Yelp or Foursquare or any of these other review type of sites that get aggregated. I mean, obviously those are the big ones. Google and Facebook would be the biggest by far. But you should see this like pattern emerging of Google going out, and realize when I say Google, I'm also to a degree talking about Bing and Yahoo, because they kind of follow suit. But it's building it's putting the puzzle pieces together to establish whether or not this is a real business, a real brand or not. And that's what it all comes down to. Sorry, Nick, were you going to say something there?
I was just going to say, you know, and when you're just getting started and you're doing a lot of the stuff yourself, and you like say you're somebody that's brand new and you're just building your own site, you know, a good way to get reviews just to get started, right, is like, you know, people that maybe you've worked with already, maybe you've given away, you know, some of your time to do some consulting to help somebody with a website or any of that. Like, go back and ask those people to give you a review and ask them to speak on that specific thing that you help them with. And that's a good way to frame it.
That's perfect.
That's a good point, Dan.
Thank you. And we actually do teach some of this in Fusion as well, in terms of, you know, trying to drip reviews in for your clients. And because the freshness, you know, essentially how recent were the reviews is part of it too. If you go to a business website, I mean, think about it just from a customer standpoint. The last review is 2-3 years ago. You know, I might just keep moving on, right? Because I just don't know if they're even in business anymore. So the frequency, the recency of a review is important as well. And then with that being said, you should go in there, or your client should go in there as the business to reply to these reviews, even if they're positive. You know, hey, thank you for the review. And you can actually be kind of ninja-like and throw in some related keywords. Again, don't try too hard, but you can throw in some semantic variations of terms based on your replies as the business owner. And then you could do that exact same thing again in the Q&A section, you know, with the Google My Business has the questions and the answers. Kind of play with that too.
Nice.
So that is, you know, basically what boils down to with brand. Let me see if I can figure this out. Uploading. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is your category. And this goes, color. Yeah, so your category. And I talked about this on that webinar, if you guys were on there, where selecting your category for your Google My Business listing is critical, because a lot of people get this wrong in that they try to pick everything. And when you pick everything like that, you end up ranking for nothing, because you're confusing Google, right? They're just like, I don't know what to do with this guy. He's got painting, he's got pressure washing. Like, what is he trying to do? And then when you try to rank for everything, you end up ranking for nothing. Now,
what about, what about for, like, let's say somebody wants to start an SEO agency. What's the recommended category for that?
There you can pick marketing, some form of marketing agency or marketing company. I forget what the actual listing is now.
So I see my competitors using internet marketing, and so my category is actually website design.
Okay. And
I've started noticing more competition in maps for myself. Would you think that maybe that might be part of it, or more, or like I see all my competitors using internet marketing and I'm the only one with website design. So that's what makes me think maybe.
So that could work for or against you. So what I typically will do is not try to guess, just because because the algorithms could be a little bit different too in each location, which is kind of weird in terms of what area, you know, maybe the algorithm got solidified in thinking internet marketing is the category for maps in this location, you know. And trying to guess the algorithm is an impossible task. But if you go and you look and you see, okay, this is what everyone's doing, this is what's ranking, this is what's working, this is what's not working, then you can make a fair assessment in terms of, okay, well, in order to be competitive, I have to pick this category because this is what's working. This, not necessarily when you're doing your research in your city, you have to it helps to go to the bigger cities, and you can try to draw like conclusions and then look at what's ranking in yours and decide whether or not to go exactly with what they've done or go with what the big city data is saying if those two are different, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So how did it work out for you, Nick, in terms of going for web? So you're ranking #1, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So maybe they're going to try to follow suit and start changing theirs from internet marketing to web design.
I've seen some of that too. I've seen like one of my biggest, competitors, I guess. I don't know. One of the guys in the top 10 with me, he literally ripped off my entire meta description like word for word and like used it. And I was like, wow, that's funny. So I ended up like changing it probably a year ago, and he's still using my old one. And it's funny when you get into like these SEO battles with other SEO guys. where you like, you're just doing shit to throw them off and they're looking at you and you can see them pick up on your scent and you're like, oh, I did that a long time ago just to throw you off. It's pretty funny.
It is. A funny story, actually. I'll just kind of do a quick segue, but I met someone who was basically like my arch nemesis at a marketing event for a software I had. I still have it. I didn't know the guy. I only knew the brand. And we were at a dinner and they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so's coming. He runs this software. And I'm like, oh crap. And like, I look at my brother and I'm like, oh, this is going to be awkward. And then like we introduced ourselves, like, yeah, Dan from this. And he's just like, oh, because like there was like this internet. Yeah. But the funny thing is, like, super cool guy, and we ended up like, becoming friends after the fact. But it's just funny how that does happen.
It is really funny. I actually, one day I called that guy on the phone and I was like, hey man, how's it going? Just to like kind of see what was up with him. I'm like, how's it going, man? Have we met before? We should get together and have a coffee. And he was like super, just kind of like, I don't know. He was like, he didn't want to do it. You could tell he didn't want to do it. He was like, yeah. He kind of like led me on and then he was over it. But I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. You'll get those calls sometimes from competitors just trying to see what you're doing too.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So guys, with the category selection, you want to be careful. You want to do your research. And the real big takeaway here, aside from, reverse engineering what's already working, at least as a starting point, is using one category, maybe two at the most, to start as your primary focus. So picking just one main category to focus on, right? And that's going to help solidify, again, what your business is all about. It's going to anchor your brand to your category, and then Google is going to start understanding that your website is related to X. And your Google My Business is tied to that website. So that is also related to that, X niche, whatever it is. You can't do that if you start off with 100 categories and you think that, I'm just going to be in all of these categories, it's going to be awesome. It doesn't really work that way. What you can do is just use the subset of keywords and, subcategories that Google gives you. You can type those in manually, a few of them, and select a few that they do provide for you. But that's going to help you kind of focus on what that business is about. And if you have a client and he's a plumber, then just focus on that. Because that's pretty important. If you don't get this part right, it's going to be very difficult to rank in maps, especially in your main category.
Gotcha. And so for anybody that's just coming in now, we just hit 200 people. We're talking about ranking your website or your customer's website in Google, ranking you to the top of maps, getting placed for different search terms. And so we're talking about the category. That was really good information there, Dan. So would you say that it's better to start more narrow?
Yeah, 100%.
Pick one category.
Yeah, pick one category that you know is very important for the business. Even if it's a difficult category, that's okay. That's not as critical as just picking the one, the main one. Yeah. You can experiment. I'm putting this note down here now. Like once you've been solidified for a while, and I'm talking 6+ months, and you've been dominating in the maps organically as well, then you can experiment and look at adding an alternate category. And don't do any knee-jerk reactions if you fall out of a map listing like within a week or two. You can wait. I like to wait at least a month and see, what the algorithm's going to do to make any adjustments after, with something related to this. And if things aren't where you want them to be, you can go back, and it's never really been an issue in the past.
Yeah. Do you ever do like competitor analysis, for example? Like when maybe when you're just getting started and you look up a term like, Maui SEO, and you see the guy at number one. And, in my case, you see a lot of people that have internet marketing. Would it be safe to say like that would be something that the algorithm is like picking up as a good sign of a category that you should be ranking for that term?
Yeah, it typically is. And I always preach reverse engineering what's already working versus guessing. Yeah. Because you're never going to be able, you can't think like, oh, well, logically this makes sense. Yeah. That's just not the way it works. And you have to let the market, you have to let the algorithm, you have to let the search engines decide what, what's working. We're in their world. You just have to kind of go off of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Dan, I'm gonna have a little intermission here. We're gonna jump back to that stuff in a second. I just want to kind of fire everybody. I want to fire everybody back up real quick with. I want to do a giveaway. I want to do like a, I don't know, what do you guys say? Let's do like a $25 Amazon gift card. What do you guys think? Who's down to win a gift card, answer a question, and get a little hype going in the chat? Cool. So what I'm going to do is the first person, I'm going to ask a question, and the first person that gets this answer correctly, and it's going to be a question about my SEO journey. So hopefully you've watched some of my YouTube videos or been on some of my webinars, and I've talked about my SEO strategy. Stacy says she's up for it. Manny says sounds good. Raj, Jeff, Gary, Brad, Rob. I mean, we just hit the 200 mark again. It keeps teetering at 200, so I should be seeing a whole crap load of comments coming in. Patty says cha-ching. Okay, so this question, first person that gets it in the chat box wins. I think Shashan or somebody else on my team is in the chat, so you guys are going to have to help me find that person because I did see the comments just light up. So the question is, what type of client, what category, or no, what niche was my first SEO client? Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. What type of client was my first SEO client? No, not HVAC. Cheryl, you got it. It was a bike shop. That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Cheryl, thank you so much for hanging out. And obviously, you know, we hang out all the time, Cheryl. And yeah, it was a bike shop. So the bike shop was called Crank. My first SEO client, he actually came in, I built him a website, and then I started doing SEO for him. And the first month of SEO, he actually bought me my first laptop. Like, I didn't even have a solid laptop. I had like a crappy laptop that I was using, and like I was kind of telling him about it. And then he knew that I didn't have any, like, you know, strong SEO background. Like, I was just getting started, and I was transparent about that, right? I told him, like, you know, I'm really interested in this. I obviously haven't ranked a lot of people, but you know, I'm willing to spend a lot of time and learn this and see what I can do to help you. And actually, I ranked him to you know, #1 for Maui mountain bike rental, Maui bike rental, and terms that were very good and profitable for him. And he ended up trading me my first month for my first MacBook Pro, which was pretty awesome. And I still continue to do business with this guy till this day. This is 3-4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And he refers me business all the time. So people go to his shop and they say, I love your website. I found you on Google. And he tells them about me. So Cheryl, I'll have somebody reach out to you and get your email address so we can send you that gift card. And yeah, thanks for playing. We'll do another one in a little bit. And
all right, congrats.
Yep. We'll jump back over to talk a little bit more about Google My Business. I see someone put an angry face emoji on the chat because they didn't win.
Were you a customer as well, Nick, of his?
I was.
Like for the bike? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I got a like a dirt jumper, like a bike. I like we have some cool downhill mountain biking over here, and so yeah, I bought a bike from him, and yeah, that's kind of how we met.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, we were talking about, let's see, we were talking about the categories or the brand category.
Yes. Yeah, so along with this, guys, so the category that you select for your Google My Business, obviously the website itself for that business needs to also, you know, be aligned with that category. It's, you know, it seems obvious, right? But if you've got the painter category selected, then the website needs to be, you know, certainly have some kind of painter presence to it. Ideally, not stuffing that keyword, but certainly the overarching brand of that website is based on being a painter, a painting company. We're talking related terms as well. And one other thing that we can do to, you know, kind of anchor in the category with the brand in Google My Business is something called Schema, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with that. So there's a way that we like to do this for local businesses where you're embedding the schema on the website, and the schema is, has various properties where you are anchoring to the Google My Business via, it could be the embed code or the map listing URL. It's part of it. You also have your social profiles, right? So you're doing a few different things here. You're the category, sometimes aside from a local business, you'll be able to use the schema to generate a local, niche specific selector. So when you do these things and you're anchoring your social profiles and the map listing through Google My Business and the category selection, right, you can see how everything's starting to kind of align and come together right now. So you'd be surprised how many people just still don't use schema. And, it's just one of those things where it's, Google tells us, Google tells you a lot of things, right? Sometimes you have to take it with a grain of salt, but this is one of those things where they have, this is a recommendation to use schema to show, to essentially give instructions to the search crawlers, right? It's just really written instructions to the search crawlers to understand how to best categorize your website. And if you do this in a way that I'm telling you, it's natural, then it's going to benefit you.
That's a really good way to explain schema. Written instructions for the search engines to look at your website. I mean, I've actually never heard it put that way. It's a good analogy. Very simple.
I think I had to explain to my wife at one point.
Well, people want to know, like, what is schema? Like that it can be a confusing thing for, like, Mark's asking, what is schema? So it's exactly, Mark, it's exactly what Dan said. It's a way for the search engine to pick up and read some specific information on your site. So there are different tools out there that you can use that can add schema to your website. There are different ways that you can manually add schema to your website. It's basically like little pieces of code, little pieces of syntax that just tells Google that you're a restaurant, that you're a website designer or an whatever, and different things. A way for the search engine to pick up your phone number, things like that, because you guys have to consider, like, when Google crawls your website, they don't see what we see, right? They don't see this nice digital image of this thing that looks the way that, we see it. They just see all this code, right? And so in order for them to pick that up and parse that information for what's important for them to categorize it in different ways, you can add what's called schema in order to help them identify that important information. So I think that was a pretty good way.
Perfect. Yeah, the crawlers are out there like Neo in the Matrix, and they're just looking at the code.
Yep. If you can imagine, I mean, looking at the Matrix, right? Like, how are you going to tell that what it means, right? So it's just a way for a search engine to make sense. And just so you guys know, like, I see your questions coming in. We're going to get to a Q&A in a little bit here. I'm going to let Dan finish up getting through what he's going through right now, and then we'll talk about Fusion, which is training that Dan actually goes, in detail, all this stuff step by step, so you can follow it. Very actionable stuff. I'll talk about that too. So, yeah.
Right on. All right, guys. So we've covered brand, we've covered category. The third major thing that you must absolutely have right for Google or their algorithm to determine if you can rank in maps or not is your geo-relevance. Right. This is super important. So what is geo-relevance? Well, this essentially is related to the proximity. I mean, this is part of it, right? So it's the proximity of the person to the business when they conduct a search. This is based on mobile, based on desktop. It's the location of the business related to the location of the searcher. And that is based on Google just trying to, put local search first in order to give users the best and most relevant result, especially for service type industries. So how do we spell relevant? My OCD is kicking on. How do we show relevance, right? There's a couple ways. One, obviously, is gonna require you to start ranking already to even be prominent enough for people to search for you, because it's one of those chicken egg scenarios. The more people search for you, the higher you rank in the search engines. The higher you rank in the search engines, the more people search for you, right? So this is known as, search and click-through rate, CTR for short. Basically, we're looking at searcher, location, relative to business location, right? So this is a big factor. This is something that is a little more advanced in terms of trying to game and work with, but just realize that's part of what it is. Now, what we can control, what you should control immediately, is the content. So content on the website. Now, you can have as much content as you want. It should definitely be original, right? Non-spun. Not sure what non-spun is. Just realize that there's software out there that can spin and makes your web. There's some are better than others, but you don't want like a thesaurus of content that just doesn't read semantically correct. So you can order content based on locations, and what should the content be about? Well, there are probably certain, could be landmarks, could be just areas of the city or the surrounding cities. So those type of terms and towns and counties, those are the words you want to use in the content pages. And you can break it up, and it doesn't all have to be on one big page, right? It shouldn't be on one big page. It can be based on a city. Like if your website is joesplumbers.com, you could have / San Diego, right? And then inside of that, maybe you speak to a few things about San Diego. You don't have to get carried away with it, but we're trying to let Google understand that this website is local to this area that we're trying to rank in, and the surrounding areas as well play into that because Google understands proximity. They understand what cities are adjacent and what cities are within a radius. So when you start speaking or writing and having content related to those types of things, it all builds into your geo-relevance, which is 100% what you want to do.
So here's a good question. Here's a good question. Yes. Is this content on GMB itself or on your website pages?
I'm specifically talking to the website pages.
Okay.
Now, what you can do, this is another great way to tie those two together. You have your website, your client's website, could be your own website, right? And it's a local-based page, and you've got your H tags and everything's aligned properly, targeted out a few different locations that are specific to that area. Now you go to Google and you create a post. You can create Google My Business posts, and you create a link back to that specific page with just a quick little summary synopsis of what the page is about. So now you've matched your Google My Business to that. It's already matched, but this is definitely going to help it even more, where posts are super important because it's also about relevance. It's also about frequency, and it shows that you're using Google My Business. It shows that you're active. Frequency, this is all part of it. And then when you match it back to a geo-based type of page with content, all the better, right? So that's just really like a home run for you. And gotcha. Yep. And let me see. I think I had another point I wanted to put here with proximity. Oh, the other thing that surprises me that I don't see a lot of people do is you should embed your map on your website. Embed the GMB map on website, right? It should be, you can put this on the contact page. It's very simple. You just grab the code that Google gives you and you throw that on your website. And now again, you have the location of Google My Business tying into a geolocation of the website, and now you're building geo-relevance. So there's a little bit of overlap between these three things of brand, category, and geo-relevance. They all work together to basically formulate the algorithm as a whole. And we can get a little more in depth with it. It's probably best left for some training, but just realize that the organic listings do play a part in this as well. And sometimes you can deduce like, well, I'm not ranking in maps, and you can kind of see why, because your competitors are outranking you organically. And sometimes just by outranking them organically, you'll pop up in the maps. So small things like that. I think if I'm going to leave you guys with one last tip, it's my favorite way to do a title tag for the homepage. So let me just do a new loading topic. My favorite way to do a title tag, it's basically just I don't know how to do without begging the question, but basically it's just the title of your website, the homepage. and you can use the same methodology and apply it to interpages as well. But basically, it would be the keyword, right, followed by the city, followed by the state abbreviation, type symbol, and then the brand name of the business, or Odyssey's business name. Right?
Nice.
This is nothing like crazy here, but you'd be surprised how many people don't get this part right. And you can, I mean, I'm not saying that this is the be all end all, but I'm looking at data from all of our clients and what it took to rank them where they weren't ranking and brought them to rankings. And this is a title tag that we've consistently used. So just to put this in like a real world example, let's say I had a mold removal company. So we'd have mold removal, city would be San Diego, California, right? Use the comma there, use the pipe symbol, and the name of the business, we'll just call this Joe's Remediation. Right, and that is essentially it.
Nice. Can you zoom in on that a little bit? I want everybody on this call, you know, this is the title. This is an example of how you should set up your title tag in Google. So it's a SEO optimized title tag. So take a screen grab of this. This is a tip, you know, from Dan. And I mean, that's amazing. I see a lot of people that are confused about this, and don't be here. Actually, this is a great point to kind of make this transition. So I see a lot of people that do SEO or are trying to do SEO, especially that are like my competitors. I see them have a title tag a certain way, 2 weeks later have a different title tag, 3 weeks later have a different title tag, and they're all over the place, right? And it's because they don't really know what they're doing. So, I mean, take this information that Dan's sharing with you. He's got 70 clients. I mean, 70 freaking clients. That is a lot of experience, right? So, you know, knowing that Dan's set up for his title tags, that's what he's using right there. I mean, you can take that. That's real world actionable strategy that you can use and implement and feel good about knowing that it's working. It's something that works. And I think that's so important, right? Which is why we brought Fusion to the Offline Sharks community, because as you all know, and we were talking about this yesterday with Dorn on our call. I'm going to thank you for that, by the way, Dan.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I hope everybody got the screenshot of that, because I'm going to pull my screen up now. We were talking to Dorn yesterday about how there's so much misinformation online, you know, and especially with SEO. You could do a search about some SEO strategy right now, and it could be old, outdated, and wind up getting your website in trouble. I mean, it could put you further back in the rankings than bringing you higher up, right? And it's one of the reasons that, you know, we just don't go out and promote SEO strategy. I don't think we've ever promoted anybody else's SEO strategy before in the Offline Sharks community. We've promoted mine, right? Like, I've taught a lot of people how to do SEO in our community, but we haven't just, you know, saw an SEO course out there and promoted it. We may have promoted SEO software because, you know, it's relevant, it works. That's entirely different. But when it comes to strategy, we don't take that lightly, because we want you to follow a strategy that we know is working and has the testing and the implementation and the results to back it up. So that's what Fusion is, right? We know Dan, we know the team behind Fusion, Mike, Greg, and Michael, and everybody else. And, you know, that's why we decided to bring it to you all. By the way, who here, if I could get a show of hands in the chat box from all my Fusion members, everybody that's joined Fusion in the last, I don't know, it's only been open for, how long has it been?
I think
Dan?
Saturday, right? We did it on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday. Okay, so give me a shout out in the chat if you are a Fusion member right now, just so I could get an idea of how many people are new or how many people are on this call and haven't jumped in yet. Because, as you know, I'm gonna break down Fusion a little bit for you right now. This is the link that you can see on the screen. That's going to take you to a replay page of a webinar that we did. Offlinesharks.com/Dan. You'll see it. we got a whole bunch of people. Dan, you can see all these guys that are your members coming in. Fusion rocks. So what you guys, that's great. I'm glad to see that so many of you have jumped in, and I know we have hundreds of people that have already jumped in. So the point that I wanted to make is that, you know, the strategy that is going on in Fusion and shared with the people in Fusion along with the software is real world stuff, right? For those of you that have been watching this live and what we have been talking about, and you see what we're talking about and it makes sense, but you just want a step-by-step blueprint on how you can implement it for yourself, that's what Fusion is. So, you know, you can trust in the fact that the training that Dan outlines for you in that course, because I've seen it, it's great. You can just start at the top. I saw somebody ask in the Fusion group yesterday, you know, where do we start? And I said, just start at the top and work your way down, right? Yeah. And you can use it for, I would personally suggest ranking your own site first. That's what I would suggest. You don't have to do that, but for me, that's what I did, and that's what Dan did, right? Mm-hmm. And that can lend to your credibility and also your confidence when you're talking to customers, because you know, who here is on this call that, you know, would like to have more confidence in the services that they're selling? I know all of us would, right? I know a lot of people have, like, you know, wanted to make a sale for SEO or another online marketing or digital marketing service and been like, you know, I don't feel confident in doing this because I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm selling, or I haven't done it for myself yet. So
yeah, that's
site would do that for you.
That's a great point. I mean, we brought up Timothy Dunn on the webinar because he was someone just like that, Nick, where he had purchased so many software programs in the past, SEO programs in the past, and was very skeptical that this one would work. He did it for his own business to kind of build that confidence that he could do it for other people, and he did.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so true. I'm going to share with you guys my screen a little bit. I pulled this up in Fusion. You're gonna see this in the replay. But you know, this is my agency's Square account, right? This is transactions that we've pulled in from Square over the last 30 days. And this has nothing to do with internet marketing. This has nothing to do with offline sharks, right? This is just Square. And, you know, there are other, I mean, it's one payment provider, right? But you can see $18,268 in the last 30 days. And all these arrows here, I'm not sure if you can see it on this live, but these are all SEO campaigns. So monthly SEO, this top one is $1,000. The one below it, $700. This one's $3,500. This one's $1,700 because we're doing some retargeting as well. But you can see that SEO has really been the lifeblood of my agency, right? And that's why I'm so excited for so many of you that have jumped in with Fusion, and for those of you that are on this call now that haven't, to have the opportunity to be able to build in recurring revenue into your business. And you can start out by ranking your own site. And you can also, another strategy we haven't talked to is, or spoken to about yet, is really, you know, ranking somebody kind of to get started without getting any payment up front, like pro bono, right? Just to like demonstrate that you have the value and you can do something like that. That's another great way to get customers if you have none, right? So in Fusion, you guys have this step-by-step strategy and software to help you do it. And we do have a special bonus for anybody that is looking to get in on Fusion in the next, I think it's 12 hours. There's less than 12 hours left for this special promotion. And so we have a Sharks Only special bonus, which allows you to get unlimited SEO leads for your business. So now that you have Fusion and you know how to do SEO and how to fulfill that service, you have that confidence, right? You can take our bonus, our software, which we're going to give you, which will connect you with an unlimited amount of SEO leads. So for those of you that don't know, we have a software that we created that's never been released before. It's called GMB Gunner. And we've been building it behind the scenes and using it behind the scenes. And actually, let me pull up the dashboard of GMB Gunner for you. Anybody using GMB Gunner? Give me a shout out in the chat.
And Mike just sent me the link. I was started getting into the dashboard. It looks great.
Nice. And you guys, it's a simple software. It's not crazy. It doesn't do millions of things, but it does one thing really well, and it connects you with the best SEO leads that you can find, which are people that don't have claimed Google My Business listings, right? So if a business doesn't have a claimed Google My Business listing, but they are in maps, they're just leaving money on the table. So if you can identify these businesses and let them know, like, hey, I can optimize your Google My Business listing for you, which, I mean, this last hour we spent, Dan's gone over, a whole bunch of little pieces of how to optimize a Google My Business listing. I mean, you already are on your way to knowing how to do that. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it, which is what you'll find out in Fusion. But, normally if you were trying to find these types of leads and these types of businesses, it would take you a long time to go through Google and search and find unclaimed business listings, right? But for us, you can see my dashboard here. This is an unlocked account in GMB Gunner. So you'll see that your lead cost is free. Normally the lead cost is 84 cents per lead, but you guys get an unlocked account. So it's an unlimited license. And I've got a bunch of saved leads already. And the way that it works is basically you just type in your keyword. So if you're looking for roofers that you want to prospect to, and you just type in your area, for me, it's Maui, you'll see that it's pulling all this information directly from Google, right? So once you run a search, you'll pull back all the leads, and you have access to their name, their address, their phone number. You get a direct link to their GMB page, which you can see they are unclaimed listings. You'll find here on the left-hand side that this business has a note to claim this business. So this guy, this Maui general contractor, I mean, he's a great lead, and if you want, you can send an email to him directly through the GMB Gunner software. So,
I didn't know that. That's killer.
Oh yeah, we've got an amazing integration with Gmail. So you could just use your Gmail to send out these emails. It takes like 3 seconds to you just log into your Gmail through the software. And so yeah, you guys, we're gonna give you GMB Gunner, an unlocked account, never released before software. It's an offline sharks only software. As soon as you pick up your membership to Fusion, which you can see, I've got the link on the page, offlinesharks.com/Dan. You'll find the replay of the webinar the other day, and then a button to just jump right in if you've already seen enough. And yeah, it's only going to be open for about 12 more hours. And when I was just getting started with SEO, this training through these guys, it was $8,000. $8,000. I couldn't afford to get in. I wish that I had the opportunity to get this information, because like I was saying, that it works, right? That it's real world stuff. And there's so much misinformation out there when it comes to SEO. So for those of you that have seen what I've been doing, and you see that I have leads coming in all the time, right? Like for a long time, I wasn't really doing any marketing for my own agency myself. And it's because I spent the time doing SEO. I did SEO, and now the leads just come to me. And so for those of you that would like to have a business model like that, where you're organically ranking your own site and having leads come to you, this is the training that you should get in order to be able to do that. And yeah, I think as of now, I want to, open up for questions. If you guys have any questions for Dan, we're running a little bit over. I think, maybe we can hang out for another 10, 15 minutes, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's any questions, maybe be useful to field a question, why someone is not wanting to join. Maybe there's a reason that I could speak to that.
Yeah. Yep. So
because the way we designed the training was, really, we're not teaching theory in any of the training. It's over the shoulder style. This is what we're doing for our clients in our agencies, and that's probably the best way to learn. For me, if I see something done right, I just try to emulate that. So that's pretty much what we try to do inside of Fusion was, let's do it right, show what right looks like, and systemize it in a step-by-step process that other people can follow.
Right, which is, like I said, this type of training and then that type of process, to be able to break it up and put it into bite-sized chunks for people to follow, you just don't get that anywhere else. So for those of you that are asking about how to claim your GMB Gunner bonus, if you've joined Fusion, you go to this Facebook post in our Facebook group, which probably a lot of you are in right now, and you just comment on this post, "I'm in," and then Shashan is going to private message you your link with not only the GMB Gunner account, but you're also going to get an email template that I use to send directly through the GMB Gunner software. So you can copy and paste that email template, put it in the software, and just let these businesses know that they have an unclaimed business listing. And you can adjust the email. I'm not recommending you copy paste and just send it out. I recommend that you change some of the information, add the business's name in there, make it feel a little more targeted, right? You want them to feel like they're being targeted, that you're speaking directly to them. But this will take all the guesswork out of it for you. So when you're doing your prospecting, you just put the email in there and you send it directly through the software, and that will take all the guesswork out of it. If you've jumped in on Fusion, go to this post and comment that you're in. You'll already see, 153 people that have already, commented. I know a lot of people are going to be on this call right now, jumping in and adding to that post as well. Someone just did. Glenn Lawrence, welcome, Glenn.
All right, welcome aboard.
So Dorn says, "I think the video is very clear and concise, almost military precision." Wonder where that comes from.
Yeah, that's in there.
Let's see. What if my town is small with a little or no competition? Should I pick a much larger town, small city, hours radius, just it proves our SEO strategy works against still competition?
If it's a local, city SEO type site, I would still go with your location, because that's going to be not only the easiest to rank in, but this is going to serve primarily as a calling card, versus you're going to get maybe some leads from it. I don't know how small the city is, but just keep in mind it's more of a proof type of asset that you can have now. So I would definitely just focus on where the address is for your Google My Business.
Yeah, and Richard, that's a good thing. So I would say 90% of the business owners you're going to talk to are not going to be, you're going to say, "Hey, we're ranking for SEO, whatever your town," right? They're not going to say, "That's not a competitive SEO keyword." Like, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to be like, "Wow, that's a very credible thing." So I know that as marketers, we think like that, but normal people do not think that way.
Right. Yeah, we're thinking within the confines of a marketer's mind.
Exactly. Let's see. Somebody said that they paid $8,000 per year, worth every penny.
Okay.
That was back in the day. So you guys, right now, this is the most inexpensive price that has ever been offered for this. So it's not just going around. I mean, this is a one-time thing. You guys are going to get access to it. So Mike says, "Is Fusion for beginners, inexperienced SEOs?"
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that if you are a beginner, because the avatar that we had in mind, if you listen to the webinar, was my Army buddy, right? So I wanted someone like Randy, who barely knows how to Google, to be able to do this. So it's for him. But as you progress through the steps in the modules, you'll realize that regardless of where you are in your SEO journey, that there is a systematic approach to ranking, and it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, advanced, or expert, because it's laid out in a way that you could just follow the process. And so there's still stuff in there for people who are advanced or not.
Yep. And that's I mean, again, that's important. That's the kind of training that I needed when I was getting started. And that's how I got started. It was this step-by-step actionable strategy. But again, it has to be from somebody that's doing it. It has to be somebody that has the results to back it up. I see that Jeff Tompkins says he's in. His wife might kick him out unless he finds an office space, so he leaves the house.
It's that quarantine life.
That quarantine life, yeah, I know what you mean. Let's see. Andy says, incredible. Are there differences between Greg Ortiz, OMG, and this course? And I actually asked this question in the group. Somebody else asked it, and I brought Mike in on it. Mike said, this is the 2020 OMG, right?
So we have two products for, quote unquote OMG right now. We have Fusion, which is this product right here, the standalone SEO product. And we have, higher level products of Traffic Tsunami, which encompasses affiliate marketing and, things like Google Ads, PPC. I mean, Google Ads is a whole thing just by itself, right? So that's, once your marketing agency gets to that point, you can look at upgrading there. We also have Sales Machine from Eric and Michael, where they go over, basically just closing people, and scaling your lead gen process to just keep people moving into your door.
But just to be clear, those other things, those other products and whatnot, those are not a requirement to be successful, right? People have everything they need in Fusion. That's just, if you want more higher level stuff, that's that. In fact, before this call, we were talking about how when people start to get a few clients, they get some wins, they build that recurring revenue with Fusion in their business. We were talking about how later on, that's when you start talking about that stuff, right?
Yeah, this is exactly a conversation I had a few weeks ago with someone who's in Fusion, and they've gotten about 5 or 6 clients now. And those clients are starting to ask, can you also do my Google Ads? Can you also do my remarketing? And when you get to that, that's a great problem to have, right? It's like when they want to start giving you more money because they trust you. Well, you don't, instead of saying, oh my God, what do I do now? If you're looking for a resource that's tried and true, just like the Fusion method, then we do have those tools available too.
Nice. Let's see. So Tammy's asking if this is a lifetime or a yearly price. So Tammy,
it's lifetime.
It's a one-time fee. It's $9.97. There are payment options. So it's a one-time fee. So again, you guys, like I said, this training before, it was $8,000. You guys have an incredible deal. They actually broke up the payments to $97 a month until you pay the $9.97. So that's an incredible deal. I mean, it's affordable to everybody to be able to get this information, start ranking your own site, and start getting some wins for yourself. And then not only yourself, your customers, your potential customers.
Yeah, at that price point, at the as Eric liked to call it, the cancel your cable plan, you can justify that cost very easily and start getting clients in the first few months. And now at that point, you're already cash flow positive from it.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is it's such a good time to be doing SEO. It's such a good time to be learning SEO because number one, you probably have more times on your hands than ever before, right? Like we're all at home. We have, if you are sitting there watching a whole bunch of cable television, you probably shouldn't be doing that anyway. You should be focused on building a business. And the first step to building your business is, getting customers, getting more exposure for yourself, getting more exposure for your customers. So that's why this strategy comes at such a opportune moment in time. It's because, you have time, and people always say I would do that. I would start a business if only I had the time. But right now you have probably more time than ever before. And if you don't do it right now, you're probably, I don't know, when are you going to really do it? I mean, let's be realistic.
That's a great point. There's always another Netflix to watch for a lot of people. But I mean, where other people are wasting time, this is the time, like you said, to capitalize on it.
Yeah. Let's see. So Allison says that I picked up Fusion the first day. How do we get the bonus? Allison, first of all, welcome to Fusion. And so the way that you do it is you go over to this post in the Facebook group. I have it pinned at the top, Allison, and you just comment on the post that you're in, and we're going to give you our Google My Business Gunner. You're going to get an unlocked account to that. Plus, you're going to get an email template that I'm using to send directly through the software to get those prospects. Now, that's only offered to the people that jump in on this call. The offer's coming down again in 12 hours or less, and it won't be offered. I mean, again, so let's see. Somebody asked if there's a specific software included in Fusion. Maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so we have exclusive software for, I mean, I'm trying to remember the plan. So basically we have linking software, which does have a monthly fee associated with it, but it's very minimal. The main software really is the Fusion Command Center, which if you were to buy all the tools that are inside of this thing, it would cost you, I think I added it all up, it was like $300 a month. And for Fusion, it's only $19 a month. And I believe it has a pretty significant free trial built in the beginning. So you'll be able to do everything you need in terms of keyword research, doing reporting, analyzing, site uptime monitors, right? So there's, if you could think of an SEO Swiss Army knife, this would be it.
Okay, so that's a good point. So there is a software which Dan is talking about right now, which basically takes all of the great SEO softwares out there right now and has all their information inside of it, right? For a fraction of the price. If you're going to start doing SEO, it's a great tool to have. You don't 100% need it to get started. I would recommend it when you get your first client if you're looking to go really bootstrap. But again, it's not 100% a requirement. I'm just letting you guys know that. Dan and his team, they're not making a bunch of money off of it. It's, how much is it?
$19 a month. I don't even think we get anything
$19
from it.
a month.
Yeah.
That's the hard cost. There's no commission, right? That's what Mike said.
Yeah,
and the other thing is there's the opportunity for you guys to purchase links through the software, which I wanted to speak to because somebody asked about purchasing links, and the way that it works in the SEO world, at least for me, maybe Dan has a different strategy of doing it, but when I buy links for websites, for clients and those types of situations, I don't ever buy them with my money. Like, I get a retainer from a customer. So I get $1,000 a month for SEO retainer from a customer, and I allocate $100 of that to getting links. And then I allocate another $100 of that to writing content. And any other costs that go into fulfilling that campaign, it comes from the retainer. So essentially, I'm spending other people's money with no money down to fulfill that service. And so if you're thinking about like, okay, well, there's a cost to getting links, it's not really to you. You use other people's money to get it. Is that what you do, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. So yeah, you budget based on the package, and we talk about this in Fusion where we have, you present packages to your prospects, they become clients. Those packages, you already know what goes into it. So if they bought this, then they're going to get this many links for this month, this many links for next month. And here's the beauty of this software, guys, is like this is pretty much exclusively what we're all using now inside of OMG and Fusion is this link building service, which is only for people in this program and our Ascension program, which is still a very small amount of people. There's like over 30,000 of these blog sites that this genius from Bulgaria basically scoured all these webmasters and put them into a system that is cut off to the rest of the world. And I've been ordering these links for at least a year now, and they are getting fantastic results. Link building has gotten so much harder over the years because Google doesn't really, manipulation, right? There's that fine line. So when you're building links, you want to make sure you're doing it the right way from a reputable source. And these guys have got it nailed down to where I don't want to say you can be lazy about it, but you can be lazy about it in terms of you don't have to stress over thinking, where am I going to get these links? I have to do all, reverse engineer this guy's links and this. And you can do that, and you don't need this software, but I'm just telling you, it will make your life so much easier. And, we used to, so in our agency, over a year ago, we were going to mommy bloggers directly, and we would do outreach emails, massive campaigns. Our virtual assistants would go out, and they're sending emails to mommy bloggers, and we still have some of them under our belts. But I'll tell you what, when this service became a thing, we kind of shifted focus, and we're able to scale a lot more by just trusting this service. And thankfully, it is really good.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, so you want to have a service that you guys can trust. So that's a really important piece. Like, if you're out there and you're getting links from unverified sources and you're just you're rolling the dice.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot.
That's a sketchy place to be, right? Especially, think about this. especially if you're rolling the dice on other people's websites. So like you're taking somebody else's company, somebody else's business, and you're rolling the dice on these backlinks that you have no idea where they're coming from. And you could potentially put their website in harm's way. So, you want to be using a verified source.
Yeah, I'll experiment and try some things on sites I own that if they get, penalized or something crazy happens, I'm not going to be upset. But when you do something like that to a real business and, you're hurting their bottom line, that's something that I wouldn't want to live with. So trust me, we're using it in our agencies. So I don't know if that's the litmus test, but I think it should speak a lot to it.
So Raj says, what is the pitch you would give a prospective client who has already claimed their listing and is at the top recession-proof niches? So I think I personally think that's kind of a two-part question. If it's a person who's already like ranking at the top for their, most competitive search terms, but, they were interested in how you could help them, I think the first place would be like to throw their site in the tool, like Dan already mentioned, and see what's going on with their website. Like, do they have keywords that are relevant to them that are, they could be ranking better for, that they're not ranking for? Could you point out different areas of where you could help them? Like, is their traffic low? Being an SEO is like, it's all about like identifying problems for businesses and solving those problems. And they almost always come back to more customers and more traffic. And so if you can, as long as you can point that out in some way, if somebody's already ranking for a high, their most important keyword, like maybe that's not even their most important keyword. Like business owners might think that their most important keyword is that, but maybe it's not. And you do some keyword research and you uncover it. So Raj, I think you just do a little digging, on this person and see if you can find anything else. Let's see. So how much are the links?
I believe $99, I think is, and there's a special coupon I think that all people in Fusion get.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a coupon code that I believe all Fusion members get for their first 3 links. But yeah, normally it's $99 for the article with the link, which lead time's about 1 to 2 weeks, I think, from the time you order it to the time it gets placed. And you can, like you said, you just kind of budget accordingly based on the package they bought, and then you're spending client money to deliver results.
Yeah. That's pretty much it, right? Like the $100 for the backlink. I mean, you can budget that out, and really any SEO retainer. You want to do I wouldn't be charging anybody less than $500, you guys. So if you're like new and you're trying to get just kind of build your portfolio, then start at an entry level point. But even at $500, you should be putting at least 100 to it, to a backlink, and be using that person's money per month. You want to be doing at least one.
Yeah, we specifically talk to budget in Fusion as we go through the videos based on the client's budget. And, we talk through different things like, okay, well, this is how much of the budget we have for month 1. You could do this or you could do this, and then figure out, well, I spent this much in month 1. How much do I want to spend in month 2? So typically what we do, and everyone can do it a little bit differently depending on, what you feel comfortable with. But I like to spend at least 50% in month 1 on the client to kind of front load value. Month 2, we might taper that off a little bit. Month 3, a little bit more. By the time you get to like month 3 and month 4, though, and beyond, you're sitting around 70 to 75% profit margin because you front loaded a lot of work, and now it's starting to build up and exponentially grow. And as you get to month 3, your work from month 2 and 1 are kind of building on each other, and now it just becomes that much easier. And as you get to month 4, 5, and 6, you're starting to look like a genius, and now they're just happy clients.
When I heard you guys talk about being at a 70, 75% margin, I was like, oh, all right, I'm doing all right then. I was happy to hear that because that's what I'm doing. So Donald wants to know, what's the difference between the $595 and the $995 package?
So these are packages that you present to the prospect to become a client. And really the only difference is
in terms of deliverables. So you're going to order more links to the $9.95 package. You may have a little more sweat equity from your VAs in the $9.95 package. We break it down. I don't want to talk about some specific things, some technology that goes into it that we talk about in Fusion, but you can budget based on that. And when you present it to the prospect, they're really, in terms of their understanding of it, they don't really care about more links and this and that. It's more about accelerating results and what do you feel comfortable spending. So it's, do you want to go fast at a higher budget, or do you want to go medium at a lower budget? What do you feel comfortable with? That's kind of the framework to work with the pitch.
Yeah, we speak the same language, Dan. I almost never explain any of like what we do to our customers. We really speak in the results of what we're doing. I mean, you talk about backlinks and press releases and citations. You're just confusing them, opening yourself up for all these questions that they don't really, even really to know. Like what they do need to know is that you're going to be doing, some best practices and optimizing their site to look better and rank higher in the eyes of Google. And when you say something like that, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, business owners only care about getting more leads, phone calls, and web form submissions. That's it.
Yep, true. And so, John, we talked about press releases at the beginning of this call. This video is going to be in the Facebook group, so you can go back and review what we talked about with press releases. What do you guys think? I mean, I just want to thank you, Dan, for hanging out with us and sharing your time, dropping some value. Maybe you guys could give Dan some ones or some chat boxes or some shout outs in the chat just to let him know he's loved and appreciated. And just quick recap for everybody before we sign off here. The link for Fusion is on your screen, offlinesharks.com/Dan. There's a replay to the webinar training that we did a few days ago. That's going to come down in about 12 hours. And so after this call right now, you should go to that page, check it out. And if you want, we're going to give you our Google My Business Gunner software, which we've never released before, allows you to get unlimited SEO leads. You're going to get an unlocked account with your purchase of Fusion today. All you have to do is pick up Fusion now, go to this post in the Facebook group, join the hundreds of other people that have already joined Fusion, and comment that you're in, and someone from our team will reach out to you and send you access to your new software, and you should get access to Fusion immediately through your email. So, Dan, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us, and
thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again soon.
Pleasure to such a good audience.
Yeah. We love our sharks. They're awesome. And thank you all for hanging out with us. We'll see you again soon.
All right, see you guys.